Hey everyone, it's Bumblebee, and I talk about everything hiking, backpacking, and camping. So if these topics interest you, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and hit the bell icon to get notifications when I upload new content. Today I am doing part 3 of the Costco Underquilt. So this is the part where we are putting everything together. This should be the final video up to the part of when we actually do the video of actually showing it in use. So let me go ahead and get this turned around and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I have my 4 channels made. So I cut 3 inches wide of the ripstop nylon and 1 inch wider than the length of each side of the underquilt. Then I did on the short side, the short ends, I did a hem, half-inch hem on each side of the channel. On the long ends, of the underquilt. So over here, I did a half-inch hem on both ends here of the channel and one end. And so what I'm doing is I tuck it under the grow gain, and I'm going to run a stitch all the way down in to attach it. And then I am going to come back and we are going to flip it over and attach it to the underquilt protector. And we're going to, when we do that, there's going to be still a gap and we can run our channel through. And then we'll run stitching down it. And when I do that, I am going to do the 2 long ends first, and then I will do the short ends. But let me go ahead and get this stitched up first, and then I'll do the other end. Now that we have the channels on the long end sewn on the edge, the non-hem side sewn just under the grow gain. So we've laid out the quilt on the floor here, and we are going to take the underquilt protector and we'll lay it out over the top of it. So we are having the underside facing up. That is important here. So the side that you will see underneath your hammock now you will line up the edge of the protector along the edge of the grow gain. So the protector may just be a little bit larger than the quilt, and that is fine. Just adds a little bit of space, which adds extra insulation. And what we're going to do is that channel, we are going to pin it. So you're going to fold it over and then take the edge of the hem side and we will fold it to where the edge of that grow gate is. So basically it would be covering the grow gate. And we're going to pin it down. So it's going to make a U shape. So hopefully you can hear this. So I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to speak a little louder because I'm speaking into the camera. I'm going to fold it over every so often. And we're going to pin it. And we're going to pin it on top of the underquilt protector. So you have the underquilt protector, you have your quilt. And we're going to do this on both sides. And then we'll take it to the sewing machine and then we'll sew that up before coming back to do the short ends. So let me get this side here pinned up. I'll turn the camera off, pin the other side up, and take you to the sewing machine. So, take your time pinning this up. Because if you don't get your channel right, then the shock cord won't go through it. Now I got it in the sewing machine, as before. Do those couple stitches. Do that locking stitch. Now, if your channel's wide enough, I would recommend doing 2 line of stitches. As long as you still have enough room to have able to get your shot cord through. But we'll get this going here. Like I said, we want to do some straight line stitching. Now this is pretty thick because you got the Grosgain, you got the quilt, you've got the underquilt protector, you've got several layers of the channel here. So, you know, take your time. And you already have a stitch here on your hem that you can use as a guide. So we're just going to go follow this down. We're going to do this on both sides. Don't run over your pin like I was just about ready to. I'm going to run this one stitch down here. I'm going to lock it off at the end, and then I'm going to run another one right down beside it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then we will go and we will set up for the channels on the short ends. And I will go ahead and turn the camera off, and we'll see you back when we go to set up those channels on the short end. So now for the last channels on the narrow end. So we don't have the Grosgain to go by as a judge. All we have is our hems. So you want to take your time and basically line up your hems on both edges while still leaving a gap. Hopefully you can see this. And pin it. All right, so you'll still want to leave an opening to be able to get your shot cord through. You want to make sure you get the underquilt protector under the channel as well. We'll do this on both ends, and then take that to the sewing machine. As far as the major sewing that goes, there's one other minor sewing thing, and that is on the long channel. And I have the sew on cord locks. That's what they're called. I couldn't think of them for a second. The sew on cord locks. So when we run our shot cord through there, it'll come through, it'll go through the cord lock, make a loop, and go back through that cord lock. and then it's sewn onto the quilt, and then connects to the S-beaner. But we'll go into that in just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all pinned up and then take you to the sewing machine. Okay, now I'm back at the sewing machine, and I've got everything pinned up on the narrow end. So I've got it in, got the needle down, first couple stitches, do that locking stitch. I'm only going to do one set of stitches on this one because this is the end where it's just going to kind of tighten up and bunch up the end against the hammock to keep the draft from going through. There is not any weight being put on this, so it's not really needing the extra structural strength. So let's go ahead and you can use that one stitch that's already in from the hem, just kind of run down. I know it's kind of redundant. I've said this 100 times already. Don't run over your pins. Straight as you can. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Now remember, once we get here to the center, I've added that extra grow gain, so it's a little bit thicker. It's going to bunch up. So if you've done the same thing, take your time. You might have to run a little bit extra speed, give it a little assist to get through something. So I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to sew the other side. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to do the cord locks. We'll get the cording in and everything and finish this up. Okay, for time's sake, I'm not sure where my black thread is, so I'm just going to stick with the gray. I have some black grow gain. I ran it through the loop on the back of my double cord lock. Now I am going to take it onto the long end of my channel here, where my channel is, not sewing the channel shut, but I am going to sew it on. And I'm going to do this on all 4 ends. Alright, I'm just gonna make sure I just kind of get everything just kind of turn it around, get it locked in. Oops, I gotta put down my foot. And get it sewn on very well. It can be a little difficult, as you can see. Take your time with this. Just making sure it's well sewn on. And that it's not going to be like going anywhere. It's not the prettiest sew job, but I know it's not going to go anywhere. So we have everything completely sewed now. Right. I cut 4 pieces of shock cord. So I cut 2 of them just slightly larger than the width of the narrow end of the underquilt. So the narrow end, which is this one. So probably about this much longer. So as you can see here, so I threaded a shock cord, you know, the clamp, you know, onto one end, and I fed it through the channel. Take your time when you do it. It's a little frustrating, but you know, just be patient with it. I didn't video it, you know, it does take a lot of time. So I didn't tie a knot on the end of these yet. For the reason of this, we will be trimming it because it is a little bit of excess. And I'm going to wait to trim it until after I put it on my hammock. Now, I did cut 2 other pieces. They are the length of my hammock plus an extra foot. So I have an 11-foot hammock, so I have 2 12-foot long pieces. And actually I measured the underquilt that I have, and the shock cord is on it is just a bit less than it. I think it was about 136 inches or so on the underquilt that I have, and so this comes up to 144 inches. Sorry about that. Now I threaded this through as well, and I got it all set up except for this one end, and I'm going to show you what you're going to do. So you're going to take the end here, and you're going to, so with my my double cord lock here, right, I am going to thread. So I have a same length extra on both ends. So I'm going to thread this through one of the holes, thread that all the way through, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to, squeeze it again, and I'm going to come back through the other hole. Now you don't have to have a double corded cord lock. You can use a single one that's a little bit larger, but I was able to get these sewn on ones, and that's what I went with. And I'm not going to knot these yet because I do have the extra length, and once I take it out to the field and test it out, which hopefully is going to be next weekend, I might be making some adjustments to it. And then I'll get this knotted to the length that I'm going to set it to. And so then once I have that, I'm going to take my S-spinner, which I have on the other one, open up the one gate, and I'm going to have they're both on the same gate, gated in. The other end of the S-spinner, that's what I hook on to my suspension end. And then with this here, you just kind of tighten it up and scrunch it up. And this is what you're going to create that part where it's going to snug up against the hammock to keep that draft out of there. All right, I'm going to snug it up now because I'm going to kind of hang it up and hold it up here just so you kind of get an idea of what it looks like when it's hung. Yeah, so I'm going to hang the one end on my TV stand, and then I'm going to hold it out for you. And so there it is. It actually looks like a real underquilt, believe it or not. How about that? This concludes the Costco quilt build. Here it is in the stuff sack. I'm sorry I don't have the actual weight of it. I'm not sure where my scale is right at the moment. It's part of what happens when you move. But when I do get the actual weight of it, I will put it in the description. I do apologize for how long it did actually take me to do this. I did enjoy making this. It was an actual challenge for me. Figuring it out. I did it a bit differently than what the instructions were. I did add the underquilt protector on it. I'm not quite sure if the directions went that far. I didn't quite go that in depth with the directions. I used it for the cutting pattern. I did see another video on this, and I kind of used that as a reference as well. And I do recommend you trying this if you like making your own gear, if you kind of want a challenge as well. it is a fun build. It shouldn't take you as long as it did me, but there were some things that came up that were not necessarily a normal circumstance that most people would run into. So if you have a long weekend and you have the time, you have all the materials ready, you could technically do it in a long weekend, or you can do this over a few weekends. So I do recommend it if this is something that you're interested in. As I said, I am going to hopefully be going out next weekend on a hike, and I'm going to be testing this out, and I'll be making a video showing you how to kind of set it up, show you what it looks like on an actual hammock. So not sure where I'm going yet. That's kind of still in the planning phases, so stay tuned. You will get to see it in action here hopefully very soon. Like I said, I do apologize for how long it's taken, but I hope you enjoyed the videos, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe.